Hello and welcome to the fricatives exercise. During this exercise, you're going to be scanning throughout your body to try to locate the muscles that you're using to create these sounds and control them as much as possible. You should not do these repetitions passively. You need to be focusing your attention and trying to actively, with your mind-muscle connection, reach into those muscles more and more and more with more feeling, more connection, and control them with more and more detail and precision. Why am I doing this? That's your vocal folds as they're moving in and out of phonation. Like that. That's the type of movement they'll be doing, and you want to feel that millimeter by millimeter as you're bringing them in and out. And to help you, you could put your fingertips here on your voice box to cue that mind-muscle connection so that you can feel exactly what's going on with greater and greater detail and try to control it more and more. Similarly, your diaphragm, your breathing, you could place a hand on your belly so you can feel it moving in and out. And if you have a mirror, you could try this in the mirror or in front of a selfie camera and be watching your whole body to see what your chest and shoulders are doing, your mouth, to see if your mouth is moving when it shouldn't be. Throughout this, your mouth will just be fixed, be quite still. It should be loose enough so that the air and vibration can come out easily, but tight enough so that you can maintain that fricative sound, which is the sound of air being squeezed. A fricative sound will involve the air being squeezed between one of two articulators. For the TH, it's your tongue and your top teeth. For your F, it'll be your bottom lip and the top teeth. For your S, it'll be your tongue tip and your alveolar ridge, which is that gum ridge up in here. And for the SH, it'll be your tongue and the roof of your mouth. Like that. And in all of them, when you bring in the phonation, that sound will stay the same. It's on its own track. And then you bring in the phonation separately. But when you bring in the phonation, some of the air that's coming up here and going on to the mouth to make that fricative sound, some of that air gets turned into vibration. It gets lost in the phonation. The vocal folds quite literally absorb the air, the energy coming from that air moving out, and convert it into sound waves. So that when that air arrives between those two articulators, there's going to be less of it if you're phonating than if you weren't phonating. So you need to add and compensate for that loss of air by adding a little extra squeeze from the diaphragm. So when you phonate, it will be moving up a little bit faster, just a little bit. And the goal is to reduce how much compensation you need, because this, you'll only be bringing in your vocal folds at the minimum amount as well. Because I can bring in my vocal folds like, and when I do that, they're quite tight like this. But if I they widen and it becomes quieter because there's less restriction for the air to have to fight against. So when you phonate, try to feel that movement and bring in just enough to make it vibrate. If my voice was like this, then my glottis is quite tight. And I have to push harder from the diaphragm to get sound and air through those vocal folds. Whereas if it's quite loose, try that. There the vocal folds are just coming in a little bit and vibrating. A little bit. Like that. And obviously if they're only coming in a little bit, then I only lose a little bit of the air, which means I only need to add a little bit more of a squeeze in order for there to be that consistent sound. If I don't do that compensation, I'm not managing and coordinating my voice box and my diaphragm together, sorry about the ding messages, then it'll sound something like that, and you get those big surges. But you want that sound to be the same. You're going to use the mirror or your selfie cam. You're going to use your own feeling of touch, your hands, and also your own interoception. I can feel when I'm tensing those vocal folds. I don't need somebody to, I don't need to look at it or use my hands to feel that. I can feel what my body's doing. And you'll be able to do that as well. But the more you do these exercises, that level of mind-muscle connection is going to increase. And it's going to synchronize until what you think is happening and what is happening will be the exact same thing. In the beginning, it's a little bit like in your head you'll have a control panel of certain buttons that you're trying to push to find and locate the different muscles. And those will come with the repetitions and the more that you notice. The more you do these, the more you're going to notice and the more you're going to be able to remove tension and excess force that you're working against in yourself to create the sound. I'm not going to talk anymore. We're going to do some repetitions, and occasionally I will talk some more. I'll add in the occasional note, but I want this to be mostly repetitions for you. So deep breath in, breathing into the belly first, and then the chest and shoulders. And then if you just mouth open and just relax and let the air fall out of you and your chest and shoulders lower. Try and make that exhale silent. If you have a sound like a then you can slow down, or you can widen the passage, the vocal folds, let them relax and get out the way, raise the soft palate, lower the tongue, and basically remove any obstruction between your lips and down into your lungs, trying to remove as much tension and obstruction. So instead of you'll have and if you just do a few of those silent breaths, you'll feel your throat, your vocal folds starting to relax. And try to feel the air actually moving in and out. You'll feel it nice and cold as it runs down, hitting the back of your mouth, where it's nice and wet, and it'll be running cold all the way down. And that will be another cue for your mind-muscle connection, so you can feel all the way down into your throat and into your chest. And then when you're exhaling, you can actually feel the air running over the vocal folds through here, but not causing them to vibrate. And when you feel that, you can try to relax them even more, because now you're awareness, your mind-muscle connection will be on that area. Deep breath in and then silent breath out. Might feel like you're about to yawn. That's when you know you're doing it right. And now, take a couple of resting breaths. You don't want to go straight into another repetition every time you do these deep breaths. You could try it, and it will increase stamina to a certain degree. But I'd recommend 2 or 3 just resting breaths. And if you're lying down, in those resting breaths, especially if you're lying down or in semi-supine with your knees up, and you have your elbows at the sides and your hands on your belly, just resting gently there, you'll feel that motion of the diaphragm rising when you breathe out, and then falling when you breathe in. And when it drops, that's when your belly expands. Let's do an F sound. So breathing into the belly, up into the chest and shoulders, make the position on the mouth and start to allow the air to fall out as you slowly close and squeeze that stream of air. And you notice at the end there, my chest and shoulders didn't rise up when I breathed in. My belly popped out because I just relaxed the diaphragm and let it drop, and so the belly and the stomach muscles relaxed and it expanded. See if you can feel that this time. I call that the snatch breath. It's not just something I call it, but it's something people use on stage or in singing, so that if they're holding a long note, where they can quickly refill their air by dropping that diaphragm. And actually, the more you squeeze, the further you go in wringing out your lungs, the faster and easier that snatch breath is going to be. So you kind of get rewarded for the amount of squeeze and range of motion you bring into that diaphragm when you release it. And think about it like that. You're trying to feel the full range of motion of the diaphragm throughout these repetitions. So breathing in, it drops down until you feel a bit bloated, and then you go up into the chest and shoulders. And then just gently releasing the air and slowly squeeze that sound. So the bottom lip is just grazing the bottom of the top teeth. And as the chest and shoulders lower into position, you're going to keep pushing that air out by starting to engage the diaphragm. And then you just relax it, let the belly pop out to breathe in. Don't into the chest and shoulders. Try to just get that belly breath so you can feel that snatch breath, and it'll come in very useful for you later on in a public speaking engagement or whenever you just want to refill quickly without creating tension in your body. Let's go for another F. So breathing in. Couple of resting breaths. And on the next one, halfway through, maybe not halfway through, about a quarter of the way through, we're going to bring in the phonation. So turn your attention to those vocal folds and feel them moving in, moving in, moving in. And you want them to move in the minimal amount in order to start vibrating. So try to feel where that onset point occurs and make it as gradual as possible. If you find you're jumping in like, then that's a clue to your mind-muscle connection. It's telling you where you don't currently have as much coordination as you would like to have. And when you exert your mind-muscle connection, you're focusing your attention on that area to try and bring a more gradual movement in and out, when you do that, you're stimulating that mind-muscle connection, and that's how you're going to get more of it. By trying to do something, asking it to give you more control than it's currently capable of giving you. So let's do an F, and it's going to turn into a V at some point when you phonate, and the F sound should stay the same. Notice if there was any point where the sound changed, like, or if when you started phonating, the sound was reduced. And that'll be a clue telling you that you're either moving your mouth, or if this is too tight, instead of then less air can get through, which means less air is arriving on the lip, which means you will lose that fricative sound. So if you're too tense, in other words, if you overshoot with the contraction there when the vocal folds come in, then you're losing air because not as much air is able to pass through, and you won't get that fricative sound as much anymore. Or the air might be going through your nose. So which is it? Which one of these points are we getting the problem? Is it coming from the diaphragm, coming from the voice box, or coming from the mouth position? You're going to use these repetitions to find the point that you're not compensating for in those maneuvers, because you're coordinating your voice box and your diaphragm and your mouth. You're coordinating them all together. They're all doing separate things. So at what point in the coordination is there a lack of energy? Is it the diaphragm isn't giving enough air pressure when you phonate? Is it the voice box isn't coming in tight, is coming in too tight? Or is it the mouth is too tight or too loose? Try to locate that. And if you want, you could try a repetition with your nose pinched, and then all the air will go through your mouth. So you'll feel that a bit more. So you could try that. And hopefully you will have had a stronger fricative sound when you did that. And if you did, that might be telling you that you're losing some of the air through your nose instead of just sending it all out through the mouth. Let's do another one, and this time you're going to bring the phonation in and out, like this. I don't think my shoulders got properly down and relaxed there. I still was holding on to some tension. Let's try a different one. Let's try the sh going into the zzz. And you'll notice some fricatives you'll find easier than others to control. The unvoiced fricative sound will maintain better in some than others. In others, you might find it disappears completely. And that'll be a clue telling you where there's some recalibration to be done, either in the mouth, the voice box, or the diaphragm. So let's do the sh sound this time. And just for fun, we'll do a slightly higher pitch. So if you're doing sh, try doing sh. And just notice how doing a higher pitch now, that too will require a different coordination between the voice box and the diaphragm and to a certain extent the mouth as well. Because when you are doing a higher pitch, let's try it out. Try it out. So deep breath in. You may have noticed that one's a little harder to coordinate with the higher pitch. So ask yourself, what are the differences with the higher pitch? Is it that there's more air coming out, the air's going harder, or is it actually that you need less air and you can be more economical? For me, that one felt a little bit longer, and I think that's because it's using less air. My vocal folds are tighter, so there's more resistance to it, but it's using less air to create because they're more highly strung. Just like on a guitar string, if you ding, ding, hit that string, it's quite a high frequency resonant sound that comes out because it has tension. Let's do a lower one down here. And maybe this time we'll do a Z. So we'll start with an S. Becomes rather shaky for me, that lower pitch, especially towards the end. It's much harder to control. So that would tell me that I have work to do. I can enhance my mind-muscle connection there. I can grow more secure with my connection to the muscles in that position to manage the airflow better. Let's do a TH. So this one, you're just going to let the tongue slot in, lying over the bottom lip. Just relax and fill out the corners of the mouth, and the only place the air will come through is between your tongue and your bottom front four teeth. Sorry, the top front four teeth, the bottoms of them. Like that. So we'll be going through that hole there. So let's try this. So if you take those fricatives, I'd recommend, if you're trying to warm up your voice box, to do some of those controlled ones where they come in and out, but to also play with volume. Try some louder ones, try ones at a higher pitch, a lower pitch. Try doing as quiet a one as you possibly can, where you still keep that fricative sound, but you just have a tiny bit of phonation. And see how that feels. And that one will last very, very long. But you see, the different ways you try doing these, the different pitches, the different tensions, the different volumes, you're experimenting with how to coordinate your instrument. And when you do this exercise, this simple exercise, you're going to build that mind-muscle connection to this instrument and become a lot more conscious of how you can use it to create the sounds that you want. And think about this, if you actually knew how to move your body and manipulate the air and vibration you're creating, you wouldn't need to, in order to make sounds, you wouldn't need to learn any phonetics or anything, because you'd know what sound you're trying to create and how to move your body in order to create it. But of course, the phonetic alphabet does help us to have that standardized approach. Enjoy those fricatives. I hope you get a lot out of it, and I hope you can start using it every day. Even if you just do one long V in the morning, just something to start triggering that mind muscle connection and becoming more aware of how you're using tension in your body to create sound and how you can let go of it to create more. Enjoy.